Hello and welcome. Spring is in the air. You can probably hear the birds out in the garden area, and what we're going to be showing you today is how you can take your beautiful plants that you want to plant in your containers, or maybe you want to plant some vegetables in containers. I'm going to show you how you can rejuvenate your soil from last year and make an excellent soil for this year. You're in the garden with Patrick. You know, when you're starting fresh with a container that has nothing inside of it, it's kind of easy to just go to your big box store, your local nursery, and buy a big bag of potting soil, and it's easy and simple enough. But what happens when you have your containers that you've already had plants in, like say for example this container here? This was from last year's geranium, so we decided we'd buy some new ones. And what do we do with this soil here? Should I just take this geranium and just plant it directly into that container, or do we need to kind of rejuvenate that soil a little bit? So today what I'm going to show you a simple and easy way how you're going to be able to rejuvenate your soil, and that way you're going to have a lot more nutrition in your soil than just using old soil in your potting mix in your old containers. So I have a layer of mulch on top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what we're going to do here. I'm going to take our layer of mulch, and I would also always recommend mulching the top of your containers, because what that's going to do is keep the moisture in your container, whatever kind of container you're going to be in. So we're going to take this pot here, set that aside. We're going to take this pot that we have the old soil in, okay, and I'm just going to dump this in one of these little buckets here and show you how we're going to do that. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to take this soil and we're going to kind of recondition it a little bit, okay? The way we do that, remember, think about at the beginning of the year when you plant some plants, whether it's a vegetable garden or your plants with flowers or anything like that. What happens is as the plants grow, they take out the nutrition from the soil, the garden soil. So you add different fertilizers, and you can add different additives to help the container grown vegetable or flower grow more and of course be healthy. But when you're recharging something like what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be putting nutrition back into the soil. So what we're trying to accomplish by rejuvenating our soil is really two things. The first, most important, is we're adding more nutrition to our soil, so that allows our vegetable or our flowers to develop and be healthy. Second thing, more importantly, is that it's going to be saving us money in the long run, because we're not going to have to go buy this potting mix, which seems to be getting more expensive every year. So you can make your own soil very cheap. I've done some videos on that. I'll put a link in the description below. But today we're going to talk about how do we rejuvenate this pot with our container mix that we already have in our container. So most importantly, first, what you're looking at is you want to add the nutrition that's going to make the plant grow, whether that's a vegetable or a flower. The first thing that you always want to do is I would add a little bit of compost or some type of organic material. Now today I'm going to be using some of my own homemade compost, and I'm also going to be using some worm castings. So we're going to show you the consistency of this old soil that we have and how that's going to change as we're adding this, and it's going to look exactly like, or probably even better than, our bag soil that we purchase at the big box store or our nursery. So the first thing I want you to do is just take a look at the quality of this soil. Okay, this is something that I think I bought a couple of years ago, and the geranium that I had that pot in before had recently died from the winter. And so if you could see here, it's dark. It's got a little bit of these white little dots in there. That's the perlite, okay? and we'll show you what that is and how you can do that. So first thing you want to do is moisten your soil, make sure that it's moist, and then you can start adding your nutrition additives to your soil. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to use my homemade compost. Okay, I'll put a link in the description below on how you can make your own compost, and I'm going to put, again, maybe 2 or 3 handfuls of that compost in here. Then I'm going to take some worm castings. Worm castings are great organic material. It adds a lot of nutrition to your soil. So I'm going to add a little bit of that to my container mix. And for the nutrition part, of course, your soil is going to have, with your compost, that's adding organic material. You can also add an organic fertilizer. I got this on sale at the end of the year in the fall, and what you can just buy any kind of general granular fertilizer. Okay, and I'm going to put about maybe 3 handfuls of that into my container mix. That's going to add nutrition and break down these granules will break down over the next several months and add the needed nutrition to the soil. So then from there, we could just use that, and that would be it. If you want your container mix to be a little bit more fluffier, I bought some of this vermiculite in bulk, and you can add some of that if you would like, and that adds a little bit more fluffiness, if you will, for the roots to be able to have enough area to move around. It also, the vermiculite will help to, the perlite will help to keep the moisture inside of your container mix also. So you also can add a mixture of vermiculite and the perlite. And again, I'll just do that for sake of argument today, just to kind of give you an idea. So the perlite is a little bit larger pieces. The vermiculite, you can see, is a little bit more fine. Both will help with moisture control. Once you're done with that, basically all you're just going to do is you're going to mix all of that into your container mix. And again, you can kind of gauge how you like your material that you're going to be putting back. So you can add a little bit more of the perlite if you want it to be a little bit more moisture control. So you see these bags that say moisture control and all that kind of stuff. That's basically what they have, is they have something along the lines of this perlite or vermiculite inside of it, and that helps to retain the moisture. So you mix it up, and that is pretty much how you're going to make your own revitalized potting mix. Now when you have your potting mix, you can just take that, and we're going to add a little bit of that in here, back into the container that we have. And we'll use our geranium as an example. So when you're going to be potting something, what you can do is you can just squeeze the sides of your pot and maybe push a little bit on the bottom, and that allows the roots and soil to come away from the pot, and then you can just turn that over gently. And you can see here, if you look at the root structure, this is actually a really nice geranium, because you can see definitely the roots, but they're not root bound. Root bound is when you see those roots just going around and round and round and round. So that's the kind that you definitely do not want. So you're going to put that into your container, whatever height you feel like you want to. Again, I would save at least about 2 inches on the top surface to allow for the mulch. That helps maintain that the moisture in your container. So that's what we're doing today, and we're just going to fill in around. And I actually have a little bit extra soil because I put in that added nutrition, the compost, the earthworm castings, and so we have some more of that soil that's available for another container that we want to do. Press that down gently, and there we have it. We have a nice geranium. My wife will be happy, and this should continue to grow and grow a lot larger than this plant is right now over the course of the next several months. So take a look here at this soil that we just rejuvenated. It's got all the NPK, your organic fertilizer that we put in there. We have some vermiculite, perlite. We have some compost, homemade compost that we did. And we also put some earthworm castings. So this has got great properties inside. And this is really ready to go for any of your pots that you want to replace and put back into your garden or any container that you're going to be using. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some organic material on the very bottom. You could put rocks there, which are fine, but they're not going to break down. This will eventually break down over time. This mulch. So I would really advise you to use some kind of a mulch that you can put in there, whether that's this big wood chips, or you can also use some straw or any of that kind of thing. The next thing you're going to do is just go ahead and fill your container with your mix. I would put in about half of the bucket or the container that you're using with your newly made soil, and that'll help to start your plant. You're going to put your plant in there and you can fill around inside however much. So I would start with that. So if you learned something in this video, please give this a thumbs up and share this with your friends. And please, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to our videos. That way you won't miss anything for this exciting spring and summer that we're going to be doing a lot of really cool things this year. So please subscribe to the channel, and you'll be able to do a lot more fun stuff, easy things. That's how I like to do stuff here at my garden. Really simple and easy. Until next time, happy gardening.